Jill here with Sirius Telus Moon, and this is Mercury Hour and Soul Night. No, Luna Night. Moon is a planet to conjoin Ketu. Again, purgatory vibes. And midheaven is approaching to Beta Persei. Let's see if Beta Persei is minima, because I saw the flickering screen today. Yeah. The screen was flickering today, which is a telltale that Beta Persei was involved. Yes, I knew it. At about that time, my screen was flickering today, and that was exactly the Algol minima. I'm that attuned. So, I had a talisman that was made with Beta Persei and Mercury. And Algol was minima today. Oh no. No, it's minima on someone's solar return. Oh my god, solar returns today. Solar returns are crazy. People having a solar return on the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in 0 degree Aries. I had a solar return around 7th October, like this something in between, because I have birthday in May, but something in between. It was I don't know if they began to go boots on ground into Gaza, or yes, it was something not so easy. A couple of solar returns that I don't wish even upon my enemies. But here is the thing. Going back to that energy reading. Somebody could have been beginning to relate to the perpetrator. And what I mean by that is there's a difference between seeing the human in a person, okay, which is actually good for healing, as long as it can actually facilitate setting boundaries. But here somebody was beginning to relate to the perpetrator in a certain way as which to commit or become perpetrator. Again, I could be wrong. I really hope that I'm wrong. But it is connected to the Saturn-Pluto. I think that somebody got, first of all, with Pluto going over the Capricorn stellium, okay, I'm talking about the beginning of the 90s. They got the reality check as to what it's like to live through tremendous loss. And then they got a reality check as to what it's like to become with the perpetrators to some degree or extent. Okay, they got a slight reality check on what it's like when they are a part of the Nazis. Okay? Which sets the tone and sets the stage for them to be almost fully aware of what would it mean to be with the Nazis in this one. How would they be seen? How would the people react to them? What would it make out of the victims? Okay, they got a glimpse. And they also got a glimpse of the full effect of what would that entail for them. If they go on a power trip, they got a full effect of what happens when the power shifts. Now, here's the thing, there are people who think that they can be building empires when the world is dying. Now, some people did that, okay, evidently. Some people went along that trajectory. For those particular people, they got the full effect of what would be the implication, the good and the bad. So by the time that Pluto goes over their Saturn and triggers that entire Capricorn stellium, there will be, how should I say that? They have to think of the years between 2008 and 2023, and that would be within 2-3 years, all that much loss and grief. Okay? It prepared them to be in a situation where they're in the army and everyone dies, they're in a war and everyone dies, they're in a concentration camp and everyone dies. Okay? And it's sudden deaths. Okay? Sudden, unexpected. So a lot of them have Uranus in Capricorn as well. Sudden, unexpected death, sudden, unexpected loss. There can even be situation, and here I'm, okay, there are people that I'm one of those people that they probably thought they're going to lose, and they could, and it could have, okay, it's something that could happen with that transition and with that transit. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen, Not saying that it will happen, but if they were trying to prepare themselves mentally and felt helpless in the face of the grief and the powerlessness and all the things that were overflowing the psyche, then they had a chance to face the way that they were causing some of the deaths, as terrible as it is to say that, with their voting patterns, okay? Or how they could be participating, have they participated in okay, they could have even actively tried to sacrifice certain people. And they got the glimpse of and here's the thing about it. It's Saturn. It's Saturn, it's Capricorn, it's they got the realistic picture of what it's like to try to sacrifice people, what it's like to have sudden deaths, what it's like um, to be partaking in trying to have something under their control, and only to find out that the tactics and methods they use to have it under their control are actually forcing that to run away from them. And they had also the glimpse of what it's like when they're being enraged and take that rage even occultistically upon a person, and what is the reality check to being a full-blown Nazi, okay? They also had the reality check of what it's like to try to correct that path after they had done such a thing, and how the faith in humanity of the person that they hurt is hurt so much so that even if they try to save them now, there would be an issue of a lack of trust so fundamental that communication is beyond difficult. Okay, that they learned in full effect the meaning of a power trip before their 40s, because once they're 40, they're once Pluto square strikes, okay, they won't be having the leverage to not to play with power. They will be having to be held in full accountability to what they'll do during that transit. Because what's about, okay, it, Pluto out of bounds here is something that is of global scale, Nazi timeline. Okay, at least that part of the timeline. It's not okay, but this is where and they're gonna suffer the full effect if they are going to misuse power. They're gonna suffer the full effect, and there's not gonna be projecting, blame shifting, none of that. If they wanted to have a power trip as the great villain, they're gonna get the full effect of being held accountable as that great villain. And they should watch every bit, every, with Pluto, it's to the cellular level, to the nuclei level. They should watch every nuclei level of what they did to abuse power. Okay? Because they know they went meticulously down a certain road. They took time, Saturn, and they've dedicated that time to abuse power in some of the most horrific ways. These are people that are going to have the Pluto square with when Pluto will cross through the last decan of Aquarius. Is the guillotine decan of Aquarius, okay? They better not burn the witches if they are the warlocks. They better not hunt the witches if they are the warlocks. Because there's no witches, right? If they are the warlocks, they better not invent a witch hunt. I'm gonna say it again. Those who are the warlocks better not invent a witch hunt. Because that would mean that they would summon the forces that would off with their heads. And off with their heads is an Alice in Wonderland programming. But let them not summon. they have gone a certain route. Okay, and the energy reading is not for everyone, but I'm seeing something around this timeline that they have gone a certain route that was so dark. Okay? They definitely have explored being the abyss. Let's just say global nuclear holocaust with no margins, that's immediate death, would be remediation to the dark path that these guys explored. Now again, hurt people hurt people. However, that is that's what I have to say about that. Okay? Because this Saturn will have to do with them. Most of them. With that stellium in Capricorn. Now, not only them, but they will not be exempt, so to speak. Particularly not the people that have ascendant Sun and Moon in Aquarius. And Saturn, okay? This is Pluto Saturn reading. It's not an Aquarius reading. It's Pluto Saturn reading. Aquarius is a different story. Okay, it's Pluto going over the Moon, the Sun. So difficult transits, transformative transits, but they're not Saturn. Okay, so just not that they're easy, okay, at all. But this is not about Saturn. Okay, Saturn has to do with completely different trajectory, which is structure, concentration camps, forms of imprisonments in here, and there is an occultistic form of imprisonment. Okay, this is what some people call spiritual jail. And those people, okay, if they are, let's just put it that way. If they are the warlock and they know they were the warlock, they better not call for a witch hunt. Because their Pluto square will be when Pluto will be in the decan of the guillotine. Now, I don't like to just be doom and gloom. Points of interference. They have to remember that if they were perpetrator, 99%, that they were also victim. The difference being they were not victim by the person that they were the perpetrator of. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having that conversation. When were they the perpetrators? When they were younger children. By who? And this pertains to an organization, a secret society, okay, something that's bigger than this is what their point of interference is. To face that and the fact that those same institutions didn't get better at providing recovery. Another point of interference is squarely and honestly ask themselves, knowing what they know about what's coming, okay? They've already been through Pluto, going every single route of their stellium in Capricorn. They've already been they saw what it's like to go through that within 15 years. Do they want 2, 3 concentrated years of that? Squarely and honestly. Okay, just you say, Shirley, how is that a point of? This is a point of interference, Falken. Knowing that, it's a point of interference. Knowing that 2, 3 years, that death and loss that one has experienced through 15 years is going to be experienced within 2, 3 years, that's a point of interference. Stoicism, I know. And that could be because of an earthquake, that could be because of a natural, it doesn't have to be war. Okay? So, squarely and honestly, deal with the fact that that could be a possibility. Another point of interference, particularly for the folks that also have Lilith there, they already know what happens when they violate life energy of someone and what monster that creates. Okay? They have faced the monster. Because they have created the monster, they cannot blame the monster for being a monster towards its creator, Frankenstein, okay? It's the telos of Frankenstein. Unless they respect sovereignty. They don't violate life energy, they don't suffer the consequences. So that's a point of interference. Now, there's another thing here that has to do with the sextile to Neptune, and Neptune is going to be in Aries. They wanted to create, those secret societies was a time that they wanted to create a person that is, they know what they wanted to create there. They should, any step that they took towards trying to create such a thing, they should think to the nuclei level, because Saturn is karma. They're not done with the Pluto transit in Saturn. They're just beginning with the Saturn transits in their lives. And for some of them, it's going to even be the Saturn maturation with Pluto applying to conjunct Saturn. Okay? Like I said, they weren't dealt the best of cards upon. Like if the gods of astrology were dealing cards, they were not getting the best. They were not getting the best hand. They maybe were getting the best hand for being, I don't know, like this Rockefeller or something. But definitely when it comes to the soul experience, they were not getting the best cards. Now, okay, and it's not even about morality, it's just about nature. Okay, what would be the soul experience of person that accumulated that much of being a perpetrator? Okay? They don't really get to enjoy that wealth, is what I'm saying. Okay, because when that smoke screen, okay, is then how should I say that? And again, it's about nature, it's not about morality. When nature turns on those who violate it to such a degree, they can't complain about the monsters they create, is what I'm saying. Okay, they don't get to say that somebody turned a monster when they have created that monster. And the Tales of Frankenstein, we know what the Tales of Frankenstein was, okay? It's nature. It's just nature. You throw an A-bomb at Chernobyl, a lush forest grows there with extinct species coming back and sexual polarization for those who had an androgynous agenda. That those are the people that threw that caused the leak. Okay, you can throw an A-bomb, but nature will grow a lush forest with extinct species. When the smoke screen is gone, then the creator of Frankenstein has to face Frankenstein. And Frankenstein did not come to be here, not as a puppet and not as a slave. Definitely not subjugated and incredibly not in a position where they're not sovereign. But this is the truth. I mean, I didn't mean the truth. What if Marc Dutroux, instead of violating 12 years old, would summon the people that were the war criminals that violated him? Okay? And by that time, they would program him so that he would not really be in control of what he's doing. Okay? No, point of interference. None of that has to happen. None of these scenarios have to happen. All of these scenarios were summoned by oil companies, and we don't need oil anymore. We have solar energy. We have an energy that was invented not even by Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla just patented it. Okay, none of that dumb fuckery has to. It's all wealth consolidation over resources. Okay, we can be people. Oh, people can play God and monsters and myths, and to the point where they choose to be people and have wealth redistribution and have a live and let live. And respect the sovereignty in spirit and in matter, including the life energy, namely sexual energy, then they're living on a people timeline. And in that case, that Pluto Saturn would be more about the demolition of what isn't. Okay, for what isn't that timeline. Okay, for example, when I was having my own Pluto going over Saturn, my parents divorced. Okay, so that was a demolition of structures in my life that were, at that time, in their phase in life, perhaps needed to go through certain healing. Okay, and that was better for all of our lives. So that can also be Pluto going over Saturn. But for that, people can't do the plain God. They can't do the devilish, okay, that deals with the devil. They can't grow a Frankenstein and then wonder that Frankenstein would not be puppeteered. Fork in the road. Do they go with the Holocaust timeline, now that they've seen a glimpse of it? Or do they go with the timeline of actually living and having what's not serving life itself been demolished? Still, they would face, okay, maybe death around them and so on and so forth, but they would not be a part of the causing. They would not be a part of the causing of the reason that they needed the mass death, but a talisman of life, not as resilience even, but as basically reconnecting with life. And that is also a possible trajectory. Doesn't work with ritual abuse, okay, all those archaic notions, okay, the dabbling into the abyss and so on and so forth. Doesn't work with those things. And therefore I was called to give that energy reading. Because for those who will walk the line of okay, of authentically demolishing from the core any of the Holocaust timelines, basically, that's what it means. For them, this transit, albeit challenging, would be a rejuvenation, life, can even be love that is actually loving. Okay? In their life. But for those who went the trajectory of the Holocaust timeline, they have still time to remove the Holocaust timelines. They have a lot of correcting to do. They have a lot of cleaning up their act to do. They have a lot of resources to distribute, to redistribute. Okay, instead of thinking that The people that they siphon their soul and energy owe them something. Doesn't work with the old perceptions. And the potential to strip away structures of totalitarianism. This is what Pluto comes to do in Aquarius with Saturn, to strip away any timelines of totalitarianism. What is totalitarianism in one word? Rape. And now we understand exactly the point of interference.